What's going on, guys? It's Mentorship Monday. If you guys like what we do here on this YouTube channel, smash that subscribe button. Literally smash it. Justin, what are they going to learn on today's episode?
On this episode, our guest has a question. They bought a house last year in 2020. They have not received rent yet. They're having problems with their tenant. They can't collect rent. What are they supposed to do? We're going to dive right into it.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Mentorship Monday program. My name is Matt, and my company is called the DeRosa Group. Let me bring in my co-host here for the Mentorship Monday program, the Justin Fraser. So what do we got?
All right. This is from Kennedy Valdez.
Uh-oh.
And Kennedy once says that he bought
Bring it on, Kennedy.
Kennedy bought a two-family house in May of 2020. Okay. So just this last year. And the tenant never paid rent.
I'm
assuming he's inherited this tenant. I can't go to the house because she starts yelling at me, and I haven't been able to move into the house. So I think he's planning to move into one side, and this other tenant is moving into the other.
Yeah.
So he's paying rent somewhere else, and he's paying the mortgage and on this house, of which he's not collecting any rent. The situation is driving me crazy. He's had almost a year paying rent and mortgage. The tenant is very problematic. Any help or guidance that we can offer in this situation?
Wow. I would suggest, and I say this with love, Kennedy, that you recognize who's in control here. Okay. Currently, the tenant's in control, but there's no reason why they should be, because your name, unless they put the deed in the wrong name when you bought that property, that's your property. And the tenant can yell and scream all they want, and they can hold their breath and have a temper tantrum and roll around in the front yard and threaten you with a broomstick and everything like that. But they can't keep you off of your property. First of all, look, check to see if they have a lease. If they don't have a lease, then that's just called trespassing, right? But if they do have a lease, then they do have the right to use that property, but so do you. So first move I would do is review the lease and try and find them in violation, at least at some points, because they probably are. From what you just told me, sounds like there's plenty of violations, including non-payment of rent. But I get during COVID, you can't turn the screws too much there. But
first off, you should check with an attorney in your state.
Get that lease first, because that's what they're going to ask you to do. They're going to tell you to go get that lease.
Yes, Kennedy needs to be calling a local attorney.
Yeah, find that lease. Call a local attorney. Personally, if this were me, I would try and find the tenant in violation of the lease. They're trying to keep you off the property and intimidate you and whatnot. I would, grab the reins back from that tenant, realize they're actually not in control. You are as the owner. If you were planning on moving into the unit next door, here is another piece of advice I would give you, my friend, and to talk to a local attorney on this one. In the state of New Jersey, and in most other states that I know of, you're entitled to move into any rental property you want that you own if you are the owner. And when you do that, the tenant has to immediately vacate. And this is not going to be covered under many COVID laws that I know of or anything like that. The tenant would have to vacate the property if he chose to move into the property. Now, my advice to you, if this plays in your state, ask a local attorney, because a local attorney would need to help you implement this. But I perhaps would choose to move into that tenant's unit. I want to live where you are, tenant. And because I own the property, I'm entitled to do that. Absolutely. And most leases say that the tenant's lease becomes null and void if the owner chooses to occupy that unit themselves. Okay.
And I will clarify here, because Kennedy might say, well, there's an eviction moratorium, right?
You're not
that
evicting.
Is only for non-payment, right? So
that's right.
You can't evict for non-payment, but as Matt said, your state may allow you the provision to move into that unit, as New Jersey does.
Yeah.
So if you are going to habitate that unit, you can remove that tenant.
New Jersey is about as unique place as you get as a state in the union, but I'd be willing to bet they're not the only state that has that clause that says, because if you think about it, if an owner were leasing a home that they used to live in and they leased it to somebody else and they decide they need to move into there, they would take precedent over the tenant and this supersedes COVID, right? And I'll also say that Justin Fraser and I, and on many of our properties, have been able to execute full-on evictions, including removal, just not for non-payment of rent.
Correct.
That the eviction moratorium does not kill all evictions, just non-payment of rent evictions. We've had plenty of tenants violate their lease for doing something else stupid.
Let's take a specific example, Matt. Let's say that Kennedy serves notice to this tenant in accordance with state law that they're going to come in and inspect the unit, as they are allowed to do as a landlord. They give the proper notice, and that tenant, starts yelling at them or cussing at them, or maybe chasing them with a broomstick, as you might say, maybe even enough to warrant a police report being filed, right? Now, if this tenant gets a police report against them, that is definitely going to be a violation of any lease. There's a criminal element.
And there's a whole nother angle here. Okay. That's the hardball, like, fight fire with fire method. Okay. Here's how you get to be with honey. All right. The other way you could do it. You could go and try and relate to the tenant and see him as another human being and say, hey, tenant, Mr. and Mrs. Tenant, listen, I get you're afraid of COVID. So am I, right? And I get you haven't paid your rent, but as soon as the eviction moratorium lifts, and it's going to lift, you're going to have thousands of dollars worth of, back pay bills and I have to pursue you, right? Or you could just work out a payment plan with me, start paying, and I'm going to move in next door. So I'm going to be your neighbor. So we might as well be friends. I don't need to go borrowing cups of milk from you, but we at least need to be amicable with each other. And the bottom line, Kennedy, the fact of the matter is that you're continuing to pay rent for and on property you own. You really need to take control. And I'm saying this with love, but you got to get yourself a little more like confidence here and take control of a situation that you should be in control of, but you're not. And I'm saying that with love. I'm thinking that you need to step in and just get uncomfortable and take control, because this is your property, and you could do it with love or you could do it with toughness, as I said. So those are two options. Yeah. Either one are going to involve conversations, and I think either one should involve an attorney to cover you and to bear witness to whatever comes up when you have conversations with the tenants. So.
Well, it sounds like Kennedy, this might be first property or one of his first properties. Definitely a local real estate attorney is going to give you some guidance on what you can and can't do, especially given COVID right now. You want to be careful. You don't want to cause an unnecessary inflammation with this tenant either, right? We don't need to cause extra problems, but there are processes and procedures that the state allows for you to get this unit back, or at least have a conversation and work out some kind of arrangement with them. Yeah. And maybe there is no arrangement, and but maybe you could not get what you're owed, but convince them to drop their keys off, and walk away. And you sort of forgive that back debt that you've been accruing since May. As Matt said, you're probably not going to get that back. So let's let it go. Call it a loss. Drop your keys off. I won't pursue you. You get out of the property. I get the unit back, and then I can fix it up and rent it back out again.
Either option is going to be difficult, but you're going to have to engage the difficulty and engage in the uncomfortableness of this whole thing. And I get it's uncomfortable. I get it's no fun. I get it's like you likely get yelled at and called all kinds of bad names and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, this is likely the path you're going to have to walk here for to take control of the situation, is engage in some difficultness to get where you want to go. Kennedy, thank you for your question on Mentorship Monday. I hope it adds value. I find myself talking about a lot these days is in landlording and the human side of things. And just remembering the humanness of landlording and dealing with people's residences, and also dealing with people that are a little different, and maybe, maybe they're a couple sandwiches short of a picnic even, or something like that. Right. And so at the end of the day, it may be just what you have to deal with as a landlord. And I hate to say welcome to our world, but this welcome to our world. And I wish on you, Kennedy, that this is the worst problem you'll ever have as a landlord.
The important thing is you bought a rental property. You're going to get them out eventually. You're going to get through it, and eventually you'll cash flow. And
this too shall pass. Right? I tell myself that a lot. So even good times and bad, this too shall pass. That is it for Mentorship Monday. Make sure that you guys subscribe to this channel to become an awesome part of our awesome YouTube community. Thanks for watching, guys, and have a great and profitable week.